Abhay Deol and Pia, welcome to CNN News 18.
Hi, thank you.
Hi, thank you for having us.
Thank you. Abhay Deol, you have collaborated with Pia, who's an EDM artist based in US, and she's joining us from LA right now, for the visually stunning music video for the track called Follow the Toad, which is directed by international filmmaker Joe Sill.
Mhm.
So to start with, when and how both of you came together for this visual extravaganza?
So the song came first, and the music entirely informed the visuals. And I have an amazing partner in my music producer, Animise. And when we finished it, it was this feeling I had like, oh, there's a big story here. I need to tell this. And I didn't really let the grandeur of what became stop me from dreaming big. I knew it was really ambitious, but it was the idea of this traveler, an inward or outward journey. And while I was writing it, I just had Abhay's face in my head. And I feel so fortunate to even be able to call him a friend. But when it was all said and done, and I played it for Joe, who was the first person I even played it for, he was like, "How do you feel?" And I was like, "There's a story here. And call me crazy. It's probably impossible." And he was like, "It's not. It's possible." And the next day, I literally picked up the phone. I called Abhay and I was like, "Hi, are you free on these dates?" And that was it. And I just feel so grateful that Abhay, who is just known for making amazing projects and working on incredible pieces of art and music, was willing to like be a part of this journey with me and for all of us and the Toad. So that's the gist of it.
Abhay, do you remember that call?
Oh yeah, of course I do. Because it was out of the blue, so I was a bit surprised when she's like, "Oh, I'm ready with my track, and would you be in my music video?" And I was like, "Really? Sure, okay, sounds fun." I was in LA in those days as well, and so I was like, "I'm always up for an adventure to collaborate with other artists." So yeah, I just jumped at it.
So then please tell us about the shooting of the song. What was it like to be part of this virtual production? It is directed by Joe Sill, who also built tool for video game. How different then was shooting against a green screen for both of you? And how many days you took to finish the shooting for this song?
So yeah, it's not on green screen. It was shot on a 30 by 12 foot LED panel wall, and using Unreal Engine to make this as layman as possible is basically a tool where you can already create these environments and then project them so they're there. So where a green screen, you kind of have to use your imagination, like, ooh, is this building there? Or is that object there? Like, what's where? This, you can have that already ready for you. And we actually just shot everything in one day.
That was other thing. That was one of the other things that she'd mentioned, that it'd be Unreal Engine, that there'd be an LED screen, it would be a science fiction video. So all of those things kind of got me more and more hooked and interested. Obviously, the song itself did too. And as Pia said it helps that it's not a green screen, because in green screen, then as she said, like, okay, where's the building? Is it there? Is it here? And you really have to use your imagination. But with the LED screen, it's right there in front of you. So it's still a little more artificial than doing a scene with an actor in a real environment, obviously, because then you're in an actual room with real things as tools. Here, it was a screen, but at least you had the visual reference. And so it was a little bit more of a challenge than just doing a simple scene in a film.
You know what appealed to me? It seemed like this music video is partly inspired by some iconic adventures like Indiana Jones or landscape of Lord of the Rings. And I'm sure there's a part two. I think viewers are waiting to watch
Oh,
of this
wow.
music video. Don't you think, Abhay? Because the story did not finish in this music video.
I
We
mean,
still like to see you fighting.
well, I think Joe should just make a movie. He has it in him to just make a full-fledged feature, and he better put me in it since I was in his video. What do you think, Pia? Shouldn't Joe just make a movie after this? I think
100%.
he has it in him. One of the interesting things also I should mention about Joe is it's also the way he directed me. He never, I was I'm not, I'll have a few questions. If I'll boil it down to a few, I wouldn't have too many, but those essentials are there. And he'd always have an answer. Even if he didn't have an answer, he'd make up one. So he'd give me a story to follow. So as an actor, that worked perfectly fine.
That
for
helped
me.
you.
Yeah.
And I want to just bandwagon and give Abhay a moment of praise because I think this took everyone out of their comfort zone. We were trying something really new. I mean, this was my first solo film and music project, and I didn't even know if I could pull this off. I had a wacky story, I had my first song, and big ideas, and everyone just kind of came together for the heart of telling this story in a new way. And Abe was just so eager and willing to be a part of every part of that journey. Like even with the costume fitting, like he was asking such good questions like, well, if I'm wounded, would I wear something like this or would I have this or am I just curious? And it was such a treat to work with such a pro.
Sure. So then, Abhay, how big fan are you of EDM? And Pia, what attracted you to this form of music?
Actually, Pia's range is beyond EDM. So even I'm curious to know. Like, you wouldn't know that she's actually got more than EDM in
I
her.
know I've seen her one of the music video with a Japanese artist where she's singing. But for EDM, what appealed to both of you about EDM? Are you a big fan of this form of music?
I think at least for me, I think like Abhay mentioned, so I was trained in Hindustani classical music and I was also a competitive pianist for 17 years growing up. So I've always had like a Eastern and Western, just a strong foundation and love for music. Um, but I listen to everything and my favorite genre of music is actually Japanese rock and heavy metal, which is also why I speak the language too. So, I think what appealed to at least this track, there's no lyrics, but it was a creative challenge to work with Animized because it was like, how do we still tell a story without words? And I think what I like about the song, it kind of reminds me of a track that might have been in The Matrix because it's heavy psytrance, but there are very Eastern and seemingly unrelated elements tied in. And I think because I'm a classically trained in some ways vocalist, mixing that with genres that don't necessarily cater to that voice and being kind of genre bending really appeals to me. So it was just an experiment with a lot of vocal improvisation, and I'm just really happy with the result.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, I do like electronic music. Um, Growing up in Bombay, we would go to Goa for our, you know, extracurricular activities, and it wasn't necessarily electronic. It was far more heavier, side trance and stuff like that, which is also electronic, I suppose. So this one actually has a nice side trance ring to it, I think, which to me actually just took me back to my teenage and early 20 years. So it was fun. I wasn't expecting that from Pia. I was expecting something more with lyrics and song and words. So it was a pleasant surprise.
So then, how this friendship started? Did you all know each other while growing up? Were you friends?
Yeah, you want to say the story?
Sure.
Let us
It's a
have the
fun,
story.
it's a very fun story. Honestly, the long story short is I went from being a fan to a friend to now having someone who feels like my family. And um, yeah, I had just come to LA and I was in Japan before and I was doing music there. And then I came here and I had made a new friend and she invited me to dinner at some restaurant. I think it was like in Beverly Hills or something. And at this restaurant was just me and her friends and Abhay and like two family members of his. And that was it. And I was like, oh my God. And I'm not really starstruck, but it was so surreal because I was such a fan of Abhay's work growing up. I think when I was really young, it was the dimples, but then as I got older, I really appreciated him as an artist. The choices he makes with his characters and films, the writing, the production. I mean, it's almost objective that he's super talented and just special and such a gift to the film industry in general. Um, I don't know what possessed me because I don't know. But they paid the check and they left and I was like, ah. I don't even know what I want from this, but I like ran out and I didn't ask for a photo. I didn't ask for anything. I just wanted to say that he was amazing and that if he was in LA pursuing anything or if I have something to look forward to, I just wish him all the best. And then I just kind of evaporated after that. That was it. I reached out to a friend who happened to be a mutual friend of ours later, like, oh, I feel like such an idiot. Like, I can't believe I did that. I could have said anything. And I was just such a clown. And I was like, if you ever meet him again and he magically brings me up, please put in a good word. And he was like, I'm meeting him next week. And he's really interested in meeting more local artists. If there's synergy, maybe you'll meet again. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay. And that was kind of it. Abhay had checked out my website at the time and seen my projects, and he saw something more than like the crazy encounter, and that was just it.
I mean, the first thing I noticed when I went out to her website was her painting skills. She's a hyper realist painter, and that was very impressive. And I didn't even know, so I just thought she was a painter. I didn't even think there was a musical element to her. So she's clearly the full circle and rounded in the creative arts. So that was kind of nice.
You also are part of a film called Bun Tikki, which is
Yeah,
produced by Manish Malhotra and it stars Shabana Azmi and Zinat Aman.
yeah,
Were you a fan of Zinat Aman while growing up?
yeah. I think all of us were. I used to. I was. It was Parveen Babi and Zinat Aman, right, of the 70s, so to speak. And there's always this competition between them. I think I went from being a Parveen Babi fan to becoming a Zinat Aman fan. Um, I've always admired her growing up. I never actually met her as a kid or anything. Um, Ironically, I'd met Parveen Babi as a child, but not Zinat Aman. So this time was an opportunity for me to. I'd met her once. I think it was Birmingham. I forget where. We had an event in England. So I'd sat and chatted with her, and she was just really lovely. She's so down to earth and well spoken. And so this was an opportunity for me to actually be in the same frame as her and with Shabana. So I was almost pinching myself. It was surreal seeing Shabana Azmi and Zinat Aman with me in frame. It was, yeah, it was definitely an experience I hold dear.
Now, apart from being an EDM artist, Pia, you're also a singer. And like I really like your song, that collaboration with the Japanese artist Indron and Abhay.
Yeah.
Abhay, we really love your vocal in Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara. Can we now expect a song featuring your voices in future? We
Oh,
probably
wow.
can we expect another musical collaboration now between Abhay and Pia?
We at the end of Pia's career, that's for sure. You'll write a song for us, Pia? Come on.
I got you. What do you want to write about? What do you want to sing about?
We can discuss that.
Okay.
As long as
TBD.
there's auto tune involved, I'll be fine.
You have to dance though.
I'll dance. That's fine. I'll dance with you. Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Okay. Fine. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're done. Thanks for the idea, man.
thank you.
We'll wait
Got
for
more
that.
work
But
for me
Pia,
now.
which are the songs?
Yeah.
But Pia, which are the songs of Abhay that you like a lot?
Of Abhay's that I like a lot. Oh my gosh, I think the music from Devdi by Amit Trivedi, that whole soundtrack was so unique too, and just like kind of alternative that like every song in there was just so ahead of its time, especially the context of like Bollywood cinema at that time too, that even the music was incredible and the visual direction for it too. So that I've seen all his movies. I've heard all his songs. I love the music from Aisha also. I don't know who doesn't. Yeah.
I thought you would say Socha Na Tha, his debut film.
Oh yeah, I have the DVD.
Sure. But as we're talking about music, Abhay, which are the songs which are part of your current playlist?
Mm.
I've been playing around a lot with like DJ consoles, so I've been mixing in like a lot of electronic music. I'm terrible with names. I used to be really good when I was younger, but lately I've just been, oh, I like that, I like that, I like that. I don't even bother looking at the artist. There's one artist I recognize because I liked 3 or 4 tracks of his. His name is Aibo, but really I don't really follow anyone as such. But I've been listening to a lot of EDM. Let's just put it that way, and house music.
I have to ask you about my favorite film, Socha. I
Yeah.
remember watching it during a trial show when it was, the film, of course, was released in 2005 in March.
Mm.
Film has many moments. My favorite is where there's a wall between you and Aditi that's played by Aisha Takia, where you say कि Aditi ये सपने सच क्यों हो जाते हैं यार. What
Mm.
is your most cherished memory of Socha Abhay?
Hmm. Most cherished. Well, it was my first movie, so the whole experience was that of a newcomer, excited that I'm finally here, we're doing this. I kind of remember the first scene, ironically. I suppose it was the first scene, so you would remember it. It was in the college where I go to see her, early part in the movie, where we decide to say goodbye to each other, just, because it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
So I remember that very first day, and I remember, and Aisha's so good, like we both kind of went in, did our thing. There was no nervousness or nothing. We were just, because we'd done enough workshops and we'd kind of nailed our characters, at least in our own heads. And I remember Imtiaz coming up to us and saying, wow, you two are just not nervous at all, are you? So I remember that. I was like, yeah, why would we be? Like, there's no reason, it's just you. We're all newcomers. What's to be nervous about? So yeah, I kind of like that.
Last year it was very good for the Deol family. Rocky Rani released, which had Dharamji, then Bobby Deol had Animal, Sunny Deol had Gadar 2. All these films scored very big at the box office. When will we see Abhay Deol starring in a film with his cousin and Dharamji?
Oh, I don't know. I really don't. The stuff I make is so different, and so it would have to be something that I guess works for both of us. And I think I would be nervous to act in front of family, because how can I be anything other than who I am in front of them? I haven't really acted with them as such, so
You should
I'd
do
be,
one with Dharamji.
huh?
You should do one with Dharamji.
I know, right? That would be really interesting. I suppose if the right script came along, why not?
Pia, from over a decade, music enthusiasts are talking about this question that what next for dance music after EDM era? Which genre of music or trend you see taking over the music scene, especially in US?
Oh boy. I I think because I love what I love so deeply and follow my heart, I try to keep an eye on trends, but I'm not always aware. What's really exciting is I grew up also listening to K-pop alongside Japanese music, and it is so cool and refreshing to see Korean music become incredibly popular here. Like the same sold out stadium tours that you'll see like Beyonce or Taylor Swift at will also have these huge acts. And I think just that global connection, I really hope that continues, whether that's with Korean music, if my Japanese rock stars make it out here, great. Even Indian artists, I think just seeing more of that connectivity, I really hope for that. I think that's so fun.
And finally, election season is here. While growing up, what was the whole mahal or the buzz around the election was like that you witnessed? Do you remember when the first time you cast your vote?
Um, Honestly, it wasn't like there was a buzz as such. You just had to go, and before you're famous, you don't care if you have to wait in line, right? You're anonymous. So yeah, it was easier to vote back then for sure.
But back in the day, there were posters and jingles and loudspeaker. Do you
Yeah.
remember? It was like an election season, like a carnival.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It was a lot more like a carnival back then. Yeah. I guess it's a lot calmer now. But it wasn't necessarily like there was a buzz in the house. We just go do a cast a vote and come back. Wouldn't even discuss it.
But outside, do you remember witnessing the first election while growing up?
I can't remember it. I mean, yeah, I have vague memories, images of, as you said, you had the people doing rallies and stuff like that, processions, and Yeah, it was a lot of noise. But then again, we have so many festivals that also look the same. So, I mean, one tends to forget because around the corner there'll be another procession for some other reason. You know what I mean?
Sure, sure.
Or a wedding.
Well, on that note, I want to thank you for taking time out and talking to me. Really hope that one day you both of you collaborate again. This time for another song where both of you will sing. Thank you so much for your time and best of luck.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. This was awesome.